We have one from Councillor Nick Chichester-Miles, as he has an alternative family arrangement that he needs to attend.
Okay, thank you. Any declarations of interest? No.
No. If any do come to light as we work our way through the agenda, please do just flag them. Thank you.
And the minutes of the meeting that was held on the 22nd of April. Is everyone that was here, might just be me and Vicky and you, happy with them?
Yeah. Whatever. Okay, if I can ask you to.
Yeah.
Sign.
Date
13th. Hi, Jane.
Jane.
Yeah, one, yeah. Yep, just that one. Thank you.
Good. Any chairman's report or urgent items?
No, we have neither, please, Chair.
And any public questions?
No, none have been received, Chair.
Any letters of objection?
No, none have been received directly to the Town Council.
Okay. So we're going to go to page 8 and we're going to look for applications week ending the 17th and 25th of the 4th and the 2nd of the 5th, 2025. So application 5/2025-0523 does not meet the criteria. So can we go to 5/2025-0524? Ashley Gardens.
Okay, so this application is the complete resubmission of the approved application 5/22/1132, which has not been constructed. The proposal looks to demolish the existing detached single garage located towards the rear of the property and build a wraparound style extension of single storey with 800mm gap along the boundary with 34 Ashley Gardens and a 2-storey extension to the rear across the width of the property to create the expanded living space at ground floor level and the enlargement of 2 bedrooms at the first floor level. No additional bedrooms are proposed. The 4 to 5 degree visibility zones have been shown on the drawings to not be interrupted. No tree work, parking provision on the frontage is retained, and I've said to consider no objections, subject to no loss of amenity to neighbouring properties. Policy 72 at the district plan affairs.
I'm happy with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the next one is 5/2025-0560 7 Meadows, Parkingham.
Okay, planning permission was granted in 2023 for a more detailed and ambitious scheme to what is proposed in this application. The approved application has not been constructed. This proposal looks to add a small 2-storey extension to the front to expand the lounge and add another bedroom at the first floor level, which will be 4 bedrooms in total. The previous application looked to convert the existing garage into a store/gym, internal alterations to the existing habitable accommodation, along with a single-storey rear extension to the centre of the property, extension of the existing flat roof element at first floor level to expand the existing bedrooms and add en suites. Properties in the street are setbacks from the highway with tree-lined driveways before reaching the site boundaries. Properties do not follow a uniform building line with number 6 Medlows, a good distance away, with a side double garage between the houses, which reduces the impact from the proposal. A tree survey has been conducted with no trees proposed for removal and recommendations given on how to protect the existing 8 individual and 1 group of trees during and from the proposed works. Site is not conservation area and there is ample parking on frontage. I said to consider no objection.
Nothing from any.
No,
Since
no.
everyone happy with that?
Yes.
One question, just to remind me, what's the rule of the ratio of bedrooms to car spaces?
So in theory, anything from 4 up, there should be 3.5 spaces or 2.5 spaces and 1 unallocated. So in theory, when we have a 4-bedroom house, we'd like to see a minimum of 3 parking spaces on the frontage.
Clearly enough there then.
In theory. So we slightly use discretion because we know that the district council do not lean heavily on an application being refused due to parking. So we use our discretion into how we sort of kind of search that rule.
Everyone in agreement with Heather's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
5/2025/0280 is not for us today, and then we'll move on to 5/2025/0245, which is 27 Barlings Road.
Okay, so the proposal is to demolish this dated property and replace with a new two-storey dwelling with accommodation in the roof space. Chartered Building Engineer report concluded that due to its age, poor levels of insulation and evidence of structural degradation, this justified the demolition of the existing dwelling. The spacious plot sits at the end of the road with the large gardens of properties in the Chowns to the side. The existing property takes a wide and shallow appearance on the plot, whereas the new proposal is more square in appearance and sits more centrally on the plot, with greater distance to the boundaries on either side. The 45-degree visibility zone for number 29 Barlings Road has been shown to not be impeded, despite the rearward projection being greater than currently. There is no increase in ridge height for the new property from the existing of 8.4 metres and has a hitched roof to both sides. The road follows no distinctive style or pattern with many different sized properties and roof forms. A forward of the dwelling building line, detached double garage with the games room in the roof space is proposed, along with ample parking provision on the frontage. There are trees around the edge of the site, but none are to be removed, and mitigation measures to prevent damage are to be put in place, not conservation area. So I have actually looked online today, and there are a number of objections for comments for this particular application prior to my agenda going out. So they range in sort of different reasons. So one of them is concerned, or this particular person says, the open frontages with gates to the property from the road is a striking and an attractive feature of the road. This has been the case for more than 50 years. The plan to erect 6 feet high black metal gates to 27 Barlings Road is totally out of keeping with the street scene. It should be removed from the planning application. So that objection was from 25 Barlings Road. So they're directly opposite. Yeah, they're opposite. Then this one is for number 14, the Chowns. So they are to the rear of it.
Yeah.
So they say we have no objection to the rebuilding of the property. We do, however, have 2 concerns we would like addressed as part of the permission. The proposed development is approximately twice the depth of the current building and is significantly set back from the road. As such, it will loom over a significant part of our garden, which the current building does not. And then currently the proposal places the new build out of line with existing properties in the road, making it out of keeping. We'd like the planning proposal to be amended so that windows and doors on the west side facing us are fostered. Also, we suggest that the planning permission insists that the new build starts from the front footprint of the existing building, e.g. in line with the existing buildings in the street. This will still leave sufficient room for double garage with a dwelling above. And then directly next door, number 29, so to the right, they are objecting, quite a lengthy objection, and I pulled out the key sort of salient points that I think are worth raising. There is no upside to the proposed development for us. It will result in a house which is overbearing, out of scale and out of character compared with other properties in the cul-de-sac. So the cul-de-sac that they're referring to is their unique part of Barlings Road. Barlings Road is
long,
made
isn't
for
it?
snaking,
It's a
yeah.
maze, isn't it?
So when they make reference to the cul-de-sac, they're referring to their own unique sort of area of the road. Still, we do recognise Dr. Elliott, who is the applicant's right to improve her property, and do not make a blanket objection to her proposed development. Instead, should the proposal be approved, we request the decision be qualified with regard to 3 matters. So one of them being that they want windows that are directly to the side of them to be obscure glazed. That I believe will be the case because they are bathrooms and en suites. So
Okay.
you know that automatically happens. Inclusion of gates in the new build should not be approved, and conditions relating to the hours and methods of working should be imposed. That's not a planning matter. The proposed design for 27 Barlings Road would not be incongruous in the location of West Common. However, in the cul-de-sac, it will stick out like a sore thumb, changing the character of the cul-de-sac. The houses built by Jarvis Homes were aligned in such a way as to limit overlap between them. This was done to maximise access to sunlight for each dwelling and minimise overlook from one to the other. The proposal for 27 Barlings Road abandons this design principle. Excluding their garages, the footprint of the rebuilt number 27 will be more than twice that of the existing one. Much of the increase comes from extending the building at the back, will project well beyond the end of our house. This will reduce the amount of sunlight available to us. Then they mention again about the windows. And then again about the metal gates, saying that none of the existing properties in the cul-de-sac have gates, nor do most properties on West Common. Jarvis built its homes with open frontages, creating a welcoming communal ambience. And then their other objection, which is not planning matter, is construction works give rise to noise and dirt pollution and disruption to neighbouring properties. So yeah, so those were the main objections and concerns that were shared.
To summarise, it's oversized, it's in the wrong position, it's too far back. They've got a problem with the windows and the gates.
I agree with the gates. I mean, I actually went around to look at the property the other day. Yeah, so it's all very much very 1970s and open. I'd also question, is that a ransom strip? Is that a Jarvis ransom strip? Have they got any restrictions on there as well next to it, which they often do?
What's that? What kind of the
Yeah.
green strip?
There's green strip there. Sometimes
that?
Well, Jarvis, what they do is they put ransom strips along the side of the land, and I've actually fallen party to this and had to pay Jarvis a fee, even though they no longer have anything to do with my house. So I've had to pay a fee in order to erect a garden building, for example.
Right.
So yeah,
Okay.
so that could be,
There's no mention within the application papers of anything to do with that. So
yeah,
it's not, in theory, it's not a planning matter.
Yeah.
It's obviously something that is.
yeah. But the gates, I would definitely agree with what they're saying on the
Admittedly-
gates, because
Has it got precedent? Can we say anything about the gates though? Because
Yes, we can. I mean, to be honest, the gates were literally mentioned as one line. They aren't in any of the street scenes or
No.
anything at all. So I didn't even pick up on the black gates because there is one line which is mentioned under the materials that are going to be used across
Wow.
the site. So I didn't even pick that up until I was like, well, where have these black gates come from? They're not in any of the pictures. So yes, I probably would have felt exactly the same due to looking on the street scene of the openness
Yeah.
of it.
Can I just ask a question?
Yes, of course.
With respect to the proposed aerial view, there appears to be the second red circle.
Yes,
What is that?
that is the proposed double garage.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's separate for how?
It is, yeah. So they mention, well, you know, in these objections, they seem to mention about that it's being built further forward than the building line. But when you look at the drawings, the block plan, it doesn't appear that it is.
But the forward, I thought they said it was going too far back, so it was.
They said both that as well as.
Okay.
Yeah.
but again, it's not breaking any rules. It's not in the 45-degree.
It is on full screen. Yeah.
I mean, there is lots of space at the front of the house itself.
Also, there are other buildings of that size on
Yeah.
that close.
And it wouldn't be impeding on anyone if they even brought it forward slightly. The gates I agree with, but there is another house, I'm not sure if it's on Barlings or the Collins, that have got big gates, like big gates.
There, yeah, I did, because I did look round Barlings Road and there are other ones that do have gates. But I think these objections are coming on the basis of their cul-de-sac.
Yeah, and I would probably agree with that. I mean, the thing is, it's set so far back, it's all very windy to get in there, so I wouldn't even say it's more of a security issue, because ultimately,
You don't happen upon it, it's
yeah,
hidden away.
it's a cul-de-sac, you'd have to like go round all of those roads, so you'd have to find your way out, you'd probably get lost on the way out. You know,
On the circle one, Heather.
Yeah.
It does look like, I mean, they're going quite a lot further back into the garden, but they are still, the front line has moved back as well. Because at the moment, one on the left, if you look at that, the front line is quite a bit further forward to the one to next door, and they've stepped it back.
the one, you know, the bit at the left, is that in line? So that's a little bit further forward. And I wonder if they're taking that line and bringing that line across, so they're technically not going any further forward.
See, I don't know whether or
Further
not
back.
they're making reference to the double garage as being built in front of the building line.
Yeah,
That's the
It
only
must be.
thing that I was thinking that they could be referring to, because the actual dwelling itself does not appear to be built. in
well, it's
front
not,
of
they
the-
moved it back. If you look at the line and how it sits with the next door
Yeah,
house,
it's marginally further back.
it's further back, yeah.
It's actually quite substantially further back, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it has increased the floor space quite considerably. So I don't think it's the front. I can't see the front is the concern. It's what's the effect on the neighbours of the much heavier footprint going backwards.
But the
There's
challenge,
no effect on the light, you've said, because 45-degree angles are all right. And the height was about the same.
The height,
Yeah.
yeah, the height isn't changing, but I think it's, if you can find, yeah, it's the sort of the feeling of dominance, I think. Because although the height is not increasing, the actual roof form will be.
Yes, yeah.
What's
And-
the
it's going
distance
into the
between-
trees.
What's the
Sorry.
distance between the building and the Chow's houses? Is there?
I can, but I'll need to go into the district website to scale it.
I mean, it does look like quite a distance.
Yeah, I think there's room for it. I mean, and it's got a big garden,
Mm.
so I don't see how it's looming over the one behind it.
No.
It's quite a large plot when you look at it. on the
Yeah,
side of the road.
yeah.
And I do, I take on board some of the resident concerns. I mean, obviously, particularly with respect to the gate, but I don't think the suggestion that this doesn't have benefits for the wider street bears weight.
And the other house, there seems to be, just looking at this, overseas, there seem to be other houses of that size
Yeah.
on that street.
Yeah,
So
and
although,
the left side is going into the trees, isn't it? It's not like it's,
yeah,
bearing over a next door neighbour, it's going to the
Yeah.
bottom of gardens and,
This would be like the first one that's the really
Properly done.
modern
yeah.
house on that road. And actually, when I went around and looked at it, I thought, it's got a nice property there to develop. But I can imagine there's going to be a massive impact building a house of that size on that little cul-de-sac as well.
but that,
And
some of them, against that, the house has deteriorated.
They're going to have in there.
But the house is deteriorated, they're gonna have building work, whatever, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because that house ain't compatible with going forward.
no.
No.
And I think the fact that the materials involved in it are out of date and things, we technically
There's not a lot to say there.
need to look at the eco side of it ultimately.
So based on, we've started with no objection, but then we've obviously had all the
We have
neighbour objections. Has that shifted anyone's perspective? And if so, what to?
No gates.
Gates?
Can I just ask a quick question?
Okay.
Sorry to backtrack. What's the precedent on demanding frosted windows on the side of somebody's house with respect to gardens?
So, you can request them if they are in what is classed as sort of a habitable room. So frosted windows is usually only something that you'll request at first floor level.
Right.
So I think sometimes objectors, which I think possibly in here is one of the reasons why they're objecting, they may be objecting at ground floor windows, but it's generally accepted that there'll be some form of screening between neighbouring properties.
Yeah.
So yes, you can request frosting on bedroom windows and things, but generally developers don't put bedroom windows on the side. So like in this particular application, all of the side windows are for bathrooms, which will mean that they will be non-opening below non-opening below a certain distance.
Uncovered anyway.
So actually, I think with respect to the concerns of 14 Chowns, the planning application is actually sort of satisfies
think
their
so,
concerns
yeah.
for all intents and purposes. Okay.
Unless they might just not mention it explicitly in the application, so. So what's are you happy with a no objection, or do you want to tweak it?
I'm not going to offer a view with
Okay.
respect to somebody's gate. I don't think that really falls under my remit. Generally, I'm happy with I'd be happy to approve the application, but if the committee chooses to amend the application with respect to the gate, then that's not something I'd object to.
Okay, anyone else?
I'd be tempted to refer to the gate because I think they clearly tried to put it under the rug.
Yeah.
The positioning in the.
quite
Yeah.
clearly, and the neighbours have spotted it.
Yeah.
You know, so I think the ought to be at least pulled up on that. I doubt the LP area are too excited actually about the gate, but. But I think so. I think we should mention it.
Yeah, these-
I mean, you can see
Yeah.
it's quite an open plan from the image.
Yeah.
So are they gonna have a wall around it?
Yeah.
You would
Well,
assume
they'd have to have something on each side of
Yeah.
the gate.
So I mean, that means they're gonna have a wall all the way around the house
Yeah.
and a big gate, which I do see that does change.
It'd have to be down the side plot.
That's
Well,
it's very difficult.
Because if they take out the trees, they don't know what they'll do with the trees, so they might even take it along the front as well.
They're saying they won't do anything with the trees, aren't they?
So that's where it's very difficult because the drawings, none of the drawings tell us where or the siting of any of this railings or fencing
Yeah.
or, you know, brick piers,
Yeah.
what it's going to look like. Because it could just be that they're installing these metal gates at the frontage. It could be that there are vast brick piers with metal railings
Lines
all
on top.
around, you know. We don't know because
Yeah.
there are no, and I double checked thinking, have I missed something?
Yeah,
That had then gone online subsequently to me printing or downloading all of these documents, but nothing new was on the system that told me how they're going to be presented or what they're going to look like. All the wording says is that they are going to be black metal railings at 1.8 meters.
Yeah.
No, it's quite high.
Which is high.
That's high.
is that, but black, so it just says that, doesn't say anything with respect to running down the kind of like, I don't actually know where
No.
it comes, but like for our purposes, the eastern property.
Yeah, no, let me just have a little look very quickly whilst we're here, just so that we're clear.
I'd say I've got no problem with the house, but
we want to mention again.
concerned about the gates.
Expressing concern about the fact we don't really know what our problem is with the gate.
Yeah.
We haven't seen the plan.
Clarification and concern.
Says concern there isn't sufficient, that's the word clarity about the proposed perimeter.
But if we don't know,
Yes.
how do the neighbours know?
Because they've seen.
They
the
don't know
gates
either.
And the
No.
application.
So they're there, but
That's
they
that
didn't write.
written one line at the bottom.
I'm just going to try and find the wording to see what it says.
So there's some.
So yeah, so it just comes under the section called design strategy. So where they're listing out the materials that are proposed to be used. So it says, so we've got the driveway, the patio, it says gates, black metal, 1.8 meters high, and then brickwork gate piers, 1.8 meters high, bricks to match the house. That is the only reference that there is.
Not
as
even
to-
width or position.
No.
No.
No, there is, so it's very vague. That
The
doesn't.
architect on there, just out of curiosity.
The last building he did was in prison.
But yeah, there isn't anything on there that's kind of clarifies to me exactly. You know, normally you'd expect to see it in the street scene, but the street scenes are what I've got sort of.
Have you done a search through the documents?
Yeah.
Gates.
It's high.
Yeah, that's
The only
literally
one.
just, that's the only word
I had
document.
what's for eight is.
I think
Yeah,
it was
Just underneath it, yeah. That's a lot taller than me.
Yeah, it's in high heels.
There's a lot of fencing in an open plan close, isn't it?
Somebody called KBR Design Services were the architects that did the drawings, so I've seen that that's.
Okay, so we're leaning towards expressing a concern regarding the size and placement of the gates
And fencing, okay.
and fencing.
Yeah.
Did you want to make any form of a nod towards the neighbour directly next door? Because you can use the wording along the lines of, I mean, are you wanting to express concern over the gates?
I
Or,
think that's what
yeah,
we want to, yeah.
okay. Were you wanting to make any sort of reference at all to the
The windows.
potential loss of amenity to number 29, which is, isn't it?
I think you said that, subject to no loss of amenities, number
Yeah.
29.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I'd keep that in.
I'll keep that
Yeah.
in, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep everything you've got in, but just
Yes.
express
Express concern
concern.
over
Yeah.
the gates,
Yeah.
okay?
Sure.
Everyone happy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Vicky, yeah, that's fine.
So 525-0292 and 0574 are not for this committee. Neither is 0108, 0608, 0781 and 0386. So we are now on to 50 Roundwood Park, which is
0617.
Okay, planning permission was granted for a replacement dwelling in the site. However, its design, scale and bulk bear no resemblance to what is proposed in this application. This proposal is to add a small single-storey extension to the front of the garage to enable the garage to be enlarged to 5 metres in depth, possibly to be used to park a car, and a 4 metre by 6.5 metre ground floor rear extension to expand existing living accommodation. At first floor, it's proposed to extend over the existing ground floor elements that currently do not have a first floor element to expand existing bedrooms and add 2 bathrooms. There are no additional bedrooms added to the existing 5. The roof form of the current property is cat slide to both sides, with the proposal changing to a more uniform hipped roof form, which other properties in the street have. Although there is no distinctive style or character in the street. Property has the access to Howe Field on the left and a good gap to 48A Ranwood Park to the other side, though this property building line sits further back on the plot and the 45-degree visibility zone is taken into account. There is parking for 3 cars off street in addition to the garage, not conservation area and no tree works. And I said consider no objection.
And there's nothing. Line.
No.
Happy with that?
Yeah.
So let's move on to 5/2025/0607 and it's 10 Park Rise.
The property is currently a bungalow with a gable roof and side dormer window, which provides 2 bedrooms in the roof space. Further 2 bedrooms are provided at ground floor level. The proposal is at ground floor level, looking to extend the overall footprint of the property by extending across the footprint and beyond the existing garden room and side along the existing driveway to provide open plan living accommodation. A single detached garage which sits beyond the rear building line is to be demolished as part of the proposal, with a small shed put in its place. The rear ground floor projection does not extend beyond that of the neighbour's rear building line. The first floor is proposed to extend almost across the full width and depth of the proposed rear ground floor extension, again to the front, with a step in to either side to limit the impact on the neighbouring properties. The first floor extension provides space for 4 bedrooms, same as the existing property. The 45-degree visibility zone for the lounge at 12 Park Rise Close has been drawn on the plans. However, it's not clear that this will not be impacted from the proposed first floor extension. The plans seem to depict that the frontage is to be re-landscaped, providing space for 3 cars off streets. There are no tree works proposed and it is not conservation area. I've said consider no objections, subject to no loss of amenity to neighbouring properties from the first floor front extension. Policy ESD chair the neighbourhood plan and policy 69 and 70 of the district plan refers.
Anyone got any questions or happy with the recommendation?
Can I just ask, what loss of amenity to the neighbouring properties do you
Yes.
seek to mention this?
So loss of amenity generally means, well, it's kind of quite a coverall of all sorts of reasons. So loss of amenity is basically effect. So it could be loss of sunlight. It could be sort of a feeling of over dominance, that potentially being overlooked, or that you have an interrupted view that you currently enjoy. So if you're looking out of your window, currently it's open, but then you may have a rather large sort of flank wall that all of a sudden appears in your eye line.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'm happy with it.
I think it'll look a lot better.
Yeah.
It looks tiny there, doesn't it?
Does it?
Yeah. It's like a little shoebox.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at it sort of kind of there, it's going to be basically the same.
It's more habitable. And they've got similar houses that have been extended the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number
It's
6.
identical to number 6, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Happy with that?
Yeah.
5/2025/0591 and that's 1 Ox Lane.
Okay, to the left-hand side of the plot is the garages and access drive for the apartment's Lee Court, and to the right side, number 3 is set further back on the plot. Proposal is looking to add a small 2-storey extension to the front to expand the existing garage, which is to become a playroom and an existing bedroom at first floor. This extension creates a uniform appearance to the frontage. To the rear, a partial ground floor and 2-storey extension is proposed. The ground floor element extends 6 metres rearwards beyond the existing rear building line on one side and 3.6 metres to the other, which extends beyond the existing utility room. At first floor level, a 4.5 metre extension Partially over the ground floor extension is proposed to the side of the Lee Court to extend an existing bedroom. There are no additional bedrooms added. Due to the position on the plot of number 3 Ox Lane and Lee Court apartments located a distance away, proposals do not appear to cause any detrimental impact on the neighbouring properties. There is parking on the frontage for 3 cars, not conservation area, and no tree works are proposed. To consider no objection.
That front extension is not going to impact the blue house to the right. I think it's stepping forward.
No,
No.
because they have drawn in the 45-degree visibility zone.
That's that little
That's
dotted
that red
line.
line.
Yeah.
That comes, yeah.
It doesn't affect that window then there. It looks like it's going, where they've drawn the line, it looks like it's coming across to the middle, the second window in.
So it could be that that's a bathroom.
Okay, so
It
it
hasn't
doesn't,
got any windows. The sort of first window is quite far across from the bottom of the house, I think.
But
that's one.
actually, it's so no, of course, it's taken from ground floor.
Ground
window.
floor, okay.
Yes.
And that's quite far across.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you've got the
yeah.
garage.
I was thinking of the one above the garage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was
So you've got the garage, the front door, and then there's the window.
It's taken from the ground floor.
So they're okay.
Everyone happy with that?
Yes. Yeah.
So we move on to 5/2025/0591 and 0782. 0142 are not for this committee. So we now move on to 5/2025/0522, which is 19 West Common.
Okay. Property sits on a spacious plot with properties either side also sat on good sized plots with a number of trees and landscape screening. The proposal is quite substantial in terms of the additional footprint and accommodation that is to be added. At ground floor, side and rear wraparound extensions proposed, adding various additional rooms and changing the overall look and elevations. A forward projecting double garage is to be retained within the proposal, with the doors moved from side to front accessible. At first floor, the bulk of the extensions are over the garage, with a small centrally located forward projecting extension to create a craft area and another centrally located rear extension to expand an existing bedroom. There are no additional bedrooms added, just expanding and adding dressing rooms and en suites. It is part of the conservation area, but not locally listed, and there are no tree works. Despite the proposals being relatively large, they are not overly dominant and are in keeping with the style and character of the host dwelling and other properties in the vicinity. I've said consider no objections, subject to the design being deemed acceptable on this property, which is located in the Harpenden Conservation Area. Policy ESD 2080 plan and policy 69, 72 and 85 of the district plan of affairs.
Any questions? No? Everyone happy? Thank you. So we're going 5/2025/0475, which is 4 Orchard Avenue.
Okay, the existing property is a moderate sized detached property with a double garage to the side and good space down the boundaries to either side. The proposal is looking to extend to 2-storey level over most of the footprint of the existing garage, retaining a 1 metre gap down the boundary of number 6. Single-storey flat roof rear extension to create spacious open planning living accommodation. There's 2-storey extension over the footprint of the existing ground floor rear elements and the removal straight redesign of the front bay windows to present as box bay windows. The roof design is also changing from gable to hipped, although there is no increase in the ridge height. Number 6 appears to have 2 Velux windows in the side roof pitch, which could be impacted from the proposed 2-storey side extension. Proposals increase the number of bedrooms from 4 to 5. Despite the loss of garage, there is parking provision on the frontage for at least 3 cars. There are no tree works and it's not conservation area. And I've said consider no objections, subject to no loss of amenity to 6 Orchard Avenue. Policy EST 2008 plan and policy 72 of the district plan of affairs.
It hasn't lodged any objection.
No, not that were online today.
Looks like overall it's going to be slimmer as well. The garage coming down at the bottom of the ground floor.
So I think the footprint
Yeah.
is going to be, but they're obviously adding more bulk.
Bulk, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone got any concerns?
I was just a little concerned about, clearly in that picture there, you can see that there's Velux windows on that side elevation, so having a two-story extension going up next to those could cause
Yeah.
potential impact.
Yeah.
So. Okay.
So against that, it is sloping
One more.
roof before they go into the.
That was very.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
Into the steps.
Okay.
Last one, 5/2025/0568 11B Douglas Road.
Okay, proposals are to make the footprint more uniform in shape by filling in the gap to the side of the entrance straight hallway at ground floor level to create a single garage along with a minimally projecting at ground floor level two-story extension across the front to extend the reception room and to extend an existing bedroom at first floor. Due to the existing sloping roof line, the extension does present a large addition to the frontage, although it does not extend beyond the front building line of 11C Douglas Road. The existing internal garage is to be lost to create a reception room, although an internal single garage is proposed as part of the scheme. An infill ground floor extension is also proposed to the rear across the full width to create open plan living accommodation. There are no first floor extensions proposed to the rear. There is ample parking provision on the frontage. Property is in the conservation area but is not locally listed and there are no tree works. They consider no objections subject to no neighbouring properties and the design of materials deemed as being acceptable in the Harpenden Conservation Area. Policy ESD2 of the neighbourhood plan and policy 69, 72 and 85 of the district plan affairs.
Any online comments?
No.
On agreement?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Appeals. So yes, we've got two appeals. One of them, which is for 21 Cornwall Road, the town council didn't actually present any comments on that particular one. So
Okay.
didn't much to feedback on that. And then the other one is for number 45
Oh.
Ambrose Lane, which actually we had no objection subject to no loss of amenities number 47 Ambrose Lane, and it is that
That's
is the reason why they've actually used it at district level, is because they feel that there is a potential undue.
That's where they've done the
Yeah.
same thing as many of the other houses down that road.
Trying to recall.
It's just opposite where the Spire Hospital is on Ambrose.
Oh, of course it is.
Yeah, and there's
Like
like,
some series, I was
five
thinking of
pairs.
Bailey Lane, and
Yeah.
of course, yeah.
It's too big.
So yeah, so they say the reason why it's refused by virtue of the relationship between the application dwelling and the neighbouring dwelling at 47 Ambrose Lane, proposed extension would appear overbearing when viewed from and would have an adverse impact upon the outlook from the dwelling and rear garden of this dwelling. They're slightly sort of staggered, I seem to recall. They aren't in like a uniform line, are they? So maybe it's viewed that the extension is going to,
A bit too far. So they've appealed the decision.
they've appealed the decision, yeah, so.
We'll just wait for that to
And
come
then we
through.
just have to wait.
Yeah.
Section state, pass their
Tree
comments.
works?
Yeah, there is nothing of any note
No.
in the tree works, and there isn't anything for me to report of any particular interest in the applications, the decisions, the SADC decisions notices.
Okay. And next meeting?
And the next meeting is, I think, on the 3rd of June.
Yeah.
Would you believe?
That's in the diary.
I'm afraid I'm not able to attend because there's something on at SADC I have to go to.
That's okay, I can present your apologies.
I will send my apologies as well. Because unfortunately, before I was re-elected, I'd organised a safari.
Well,
Very nice.
It's a tough decision.
We might need a replacement. I've got something in my diary, I might be back in time for it anyway. But there is no invite in the diary. Just as a note for you.
there's no, there's no.
There's normally an invite in the diary, so you could join online if you're stuck.
Oh,
But
okay,
there's no invites in the diary, whereas normally,
because I don't think Jane has sent them out.
no,
has
it
she?
probably hasn't
Yeah.
because we've just changed everything, yeah.
Right,
If you
okay.
join online though, does that count towards?
You
our
don't count
numbers?
as being covered, no. You're more than welcome obviously to join, to participate, but in terms of numbers,
You're not
I
useful.
can't take them, yeah, because you in theory can't actually vote. That's what you see.
Yeah.
Okay, right, meeting closed at 8:11.
Anything else from anyone?
One question for you, just that's my edification. Are you still producing reports for this committee, looking at what the LPA matches or doesn't match our comments? We did that at one
I
point.
do still do it.
Every quarter, is it?